let's move to a really important area, and that's turnover. The turnover that just sucks up cash. I want you to know not just that turnover costs are high, but that losing someone has a broader effect on the sales culture as well. But first, what are they? Turnover may be good or bad for you and the culture. Bad turnover. It's bad when you lose a top performer, except for their advancement, unless this person hurts the culture or your company by how they behave with other people or the team, or tarnishes your reputation because of poor attitudes. Now, good turnover occurs when after a reasonable amount of time or after appropriate coaching, a rep still falls below the minimum standard to keep their job and continues to exhibit poor character traits on the job with other coworkers and customers. Now, what does turnover look like in organizations? I mean, what do world-class organizations have as a turnover figure? World-class is 10%. 10%. An average is 25%. It gets really serious when it's 40%. And Gallup and DePaul University did the research to come up with those numbers. But what are the costs? What are the costs for turnover, for turning over one salesperson? Somewhere between $60,000 and $200,000. One of our clients, it was $200,000, or about 150% or 200% of their annual total income. It could be as much as 10% or contribute to as much as 10% of your bottom line. 10% of your top line on your bottom line you lose. In other words, 10% of your top revenue, whatever your revenue would be for the entire year, could be what's lost to the bottom line as a result of 30-40% turnover rate. But where do those turnover costs come from? What are the direct costs? Recruiting costs, new hire orientation costs, training costs, lost sales and revenue, customer loss and loyalty. Those are direct costs. And the indirect costs, what are they? Lost management focus, lost morale and internal negativity, brand reputation, loss of self-control, emotional drain, additional rep turnover, and the team's sales. But there's something else that's even more important to me. I mean, those costs will hurt a lot and they're extremely serious, but it's the cost to the tear in the social fabric of your culture. And that's hard to measure, the friendships, the teamwork, the relationships that impact productivity, and the emotional hits to hope and optimisms that are absorbed by the leaders and all the coworkers. And that brings us back to the costs again. $60,000 to $200,000 for one salesperson. Now why? Why does that happen? What are the reasons that turnover occurs? And the number one reason is a weak or no recruiting and selection system at the top. Well, what's yours like? Think about it. Do you have the best? Do you have the best tools? The first step is just the right people on the mountain, those that can sell what you sell in the right amount of time and in the right way. Ask yourself this question. Have you ever hired potential? I have. I've hired several people that had potential, I thought, and because of all the potential that they had, I wanted to hang myself. The emotions were just too much later when they just couldn't sell, or I was trying to prop them up and get their motivations where they need to be. I want you to think about the animal kingdom. And so let's look at a couple of pictures here of some birds that you know very well. Some birds hunt better than others. And you can look at this picture and know that's true immediately. And it's because of their genetic makeup. Now, what's the research in people that applies to this? 55% of salespeople should be doing something else. The Challey Group did the study that indicated that in all sales teams in America, 55% should be doing something else because they were poorly hired. They're in the wrong position. They're not genetically made to be a salesperson. Now back to the animal kingdom, and here we have two pictures. Some horses plow and others race. So what's the research there? Back to us. 20 to 25% of people can sell on every team in America, but they should sell something else. They should sell retail, perhaps. They should be in a retail setting because they don't want to prospect and they'd rather people come toward them. And look at all this and all the amount of money that this is costing us. Let's go back to the mountain. Production increases from people more suited for the climb. And the retention of highly productive and satisfied people stabilizes the team. And ramp up time, you know that important 90 days where you first have somebody and they get on the team, it quickens when people are more suited to do the job and handle the skills and acquire the skills. And what are the skills for a high activity sales professional? People who can prospect, people who can maintain high activity, who can start over again every 30-day period and sell a bunch. And also people who can handle rejection, who can bounce back from rejection and set appointments and set appointments and set appointments and continue to set appointments. And when they're in front of people, they can sell face to face, they can ask good questions, they can present well, they can adapt to different personalities, they can ask people to make a decision, and they can do all that in a way that people are loyal when they purchase. That's a high activity sales professional, and there are some people that can do that with less stress than others because they're genetically made to do that. So the CTS sales profile measures the personality traits that show that a person can be a high activity sales professional or is one, or can acquire those skills with less stress than other people.